All right, so we are finding the slope between these two pairs of points, and the nice thing about this formula is that we don't need to actually graph in order to calculate the rise and run. We can just find it using the formula. So the formula is, we always start with the formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And what the 1's and 2's mean is that we're going to refer to the first coordinate as x1, y1, and we're going to refer to the second coordinate because remember every coordinate has an x value and a y value, but we want to distinguish the two coordinates. So this is going to be the first coordinate and this is going to be the second. If I had labeled this x2, y2 and this x1, y1, I would have still had the same answer. Now I'm going to substitute. I recommend that when you're first doing these questions, you, on your second step, write this out. Because I promise you, these negative signs are going to throw you off at one point or another. So it's good to just know that there's negative signs there and then make the substitutions. So y2 was 2. y1 was 3. x2 is negative 5. And x1 is 7. Now it's a matter of simplifying. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. And negative 5 minus 7 is negative 12. A negative number divided by a negative number is positive. Or in other words, I can divide both the numerator and the denominator by negative 1. That's my common divider to simplify the fraction, and my final answer is a negative 12. We never end our question off with a negative sign in the numerator and denominator. Proper math form says that we need to change it to positive, and that's going to be my final answer. Let's look at this one. I'm going to start again with my formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and I'm going to label x1, y1, x2, y2. Make sure you label everything properly, otherwise it'll throw off your calculations. And as I was saying, step 2, I'm going to write this first and then make my substitution. So y2 was 3. y1 was 11, x2 is negative 5, and x1 is negative 17. And this is why I meant that it's good to have that negative sign there, because now it's going to be negative 17. So I'm going to simplify. 3 minus 11 is negative 8. And I'm going to, for the second one, I'm going to keep, change. So it's actually negative 5 plus 17, which is positive 12. And I'm going to ask myself, okay, well, can this fraction be reduced? Yes, it can. There is a number that goes in 8 and 12. 4 goes into both of them, so I'm going to divide both by 4. And that's going to give me negative 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And that's my final answer. C. Following the same steps, label my coordinates, write out my equation. If you write your equation out every time, it'll help you remember it. Also, pay attention to the fact that the y is on the numerator and the x is in the denominator. That's another common error. Now I'm going to make my substitution. y2 was negative 14, and y1 was negative 9. x2 was 5, and x1 is 5. going to simplify the numerator and denominator separately. Keep, change, change. So that means negative 14 plus 19, which gives me positive 5. And in the denominator, 5 minus 5 is 0. But we cannot have 0 in the denominator. If you've ever tried putting into your calculator something like 5 divided by 0, it gives you a math error. And the reason for that is that we cannot divide it by 0. Division tells us that we're making groups, but if we're not making, this tells us divide 5 into 0 groups. And that's why the computer gets confused, the calculator, because it's telling you to divide, but then it's telling you not to make groups. So that's where the error comes from. So this cannot happen, which means that my slope is undefined. And this is going to happen when I have a vertical line. Last example. Following the same steps. If you would like to at some point pause, try it on your own, and then watch the remainder of the solution. I'm going to make my substitutions. So y2 is negative 11. y1 is positive, or sorry, negative 11 also. x2 is 0. And x1 is 8. Double negative again, so I'm going to keep, change, change. Negative 11 plus 11 is 0. And 0 minus 8 is negative 8. 0 divided by negative 8 is just 0, so my final answer is 0. So this means I have a horizontal line.